Right about this time in an election cycle, every 4 years, people ask me, who do I think will get elected president and what will that mean for stocks? After some serious study, I have narrowed this down to the Republican and Democratic nominee. I think there's a high likelihood one of them wins. I'm being facetious, of course. But the way it works is sort of like this. Most all of the time, with very few exceptions, and there are some exceptions, but I don't think they apply this time. When the Republican nominee wins, the market tends to do better in the election year and not as well in the inaugural year. And when the Democrat nominee wins, the market tends to do worse in the election year, but better in the inaugural year. Market-oriented investors tend to have a little bit of a sense, which you can feel right now, that the Democrat will be more anti-business, more anti-stock market, more anti-free market, and that fear gets priced into the election year. And then in the inaugural year, they find out that we have this complicated system of government where it's actually pretty hard for any president to put that much through Congress and the Supreme Court. And so any of those fears become a positive surprise because less bad happens than they worried about in the election year. Just conversely, when we elect the Republican, there tends to be more hope in the election year, that would be this year, because the notion is typically that that one is more business friendly, more free market oriented, more anti-regulatory, etc. And that hope is in the election year, but then when you get to the inaugural year, the returns aren't as good because those hopes get dashed as people find out that president, as a Republican, can't do as much as they hoped, and they become disappointed. When you actually look at election year returns of Republicans as they've been elected, they've been far better than Democrats. And when you look at Democrat in the inaugural year, they've been much better than the Republicans. The two together tend to be a wash. It's a kind of a timing issue. If you ask me right now on a 50-50 bet, would I bet on the Democrat or the Republican? I bet on President Trump because usually we re-elect presidents. And right now, if you look at betting markets, the betting markets say that President Trump should have a slight advantage over Joe Biden or any other nominee the Democrats might put up. So I think that on a 50-50 bet, but I wouldn't bet on it in the betting markets because you're likely to lose. It's probably already pre-priced. Don't worry about that. Worry about the trend I described, which is if we elect the Republican, better in the election year, worse in the inaugural year. If we elect the Democrat, worse in the election year, better in the inaugural year. The 2 years together tend to work out about the same.